Welcome to our new PLN video series for secondary reading language arts. Our first video is going to cover using the data tree to help develop writing skills for a connected CER response. The purpose of our learning today is to grow our own analytical writing skills and understandings so that we can build on what we know about isolated CER and move those to use for connected CER, and then eventually to build extended constructed responses, or the essays. We're also going to refresh our own understandings of the data tree and how it's used to collect multiple pieces of evidence to develop into an isolated, connected, or extended constructed response question. And then we want to learn how to create a connected CER question that we can put in front of students so they can start working on this to develop their own skills. Let's first define what a connected CER is. A connected CER it has one claim with two pieces of evidence and two reasonings. So that text evidence can come from either one text or two. It just depends on the purpose and the charge for the student, but it would have two pieces of evidence and two reasonings. Also, the data tree is a planning strategy for responding to text-dependent questions, and it helps the students extract evidence from the text to make interpretations, and hopefully those interpretations will lead to building their claim. So we want to start this series by emphasizing that this learning is for teachers. This is your learning, and we put the TEKS here so that you understand where we got the question or where it comes from. And then we also need to make clear that the strategy that we're asking students to do, or the test-taking strategy we're asking them to do, is to go through their test first and find those CER or extended constructed response questions so that they already have their demand as they're reading the text. So we're asking them to go read the prompts that they're given first so that when they are reading, they know what they're annotating for, they know what they're highlighting for. Our prompt today is for 6th grade. How does the use of problem and solution organizational structure help the reader understand the information in the article? Write a connected CER using two pieces of evidence to support your claim. Again, we were asking students to go find that question first so they would know what they're annotating for as they are going through the text and annotating. We're also asking students at the top of their data tree to do kind of a front-loading brain dump. So we're asking them to be specific and understand the genre that they're reading and what demand that is of me as the reader. So for our purposes today, we looked at the question, and I need to know what problem and solution is. So I'm making my own notes, and this will make more sense as we go over the strategy that I'm about to show you. I just wanted to give you a little clarity to understand where we're going. The first step on the data tree is to clearly just pull evidence from a specific text. Remember, we asked the students to go find the prompt first, and we annotated that prompt here. Again, it's how does the use of problem and solution organizational structure help the reader understand the information in the article? Write a connected CER using two pieces of evidence to support your claim. And remember, we're asking the students to also do a brain dump based on what I know about the prompt. I know it's going to be informational because I've looked at my passage first, and I see that it's an informational text that I'm going to have to analyze. And I also know that I'm going to have to understand something about the organizational structure being problem and solution. So I write my academic vocabulary here at the top of my data tree. It's problem and solution. I remember from studying organizational patterns that problem and solution, the author presents a problem and then provides a solution to solve that problem. I also know that an informational text, me as the reader, I have to understand who the audience is, who's this intended for, what organizational structure the author chose to get this information across, any evidence the author might be presenting to me as the reader, and then I might also be thinking about thesis. These are the genre-specific demands that I remember learning from informational. And as I'm reading my text, I'm just going through, and as you can see here, we've already done that work. The student has just highlighted pieces of text evidence that they think is going to answer this particular prompt. So we're just going through and we're pulling text evidence about problems and solutions and why the author might have chosen to organize their text this way. And then I am simply copying that information from the text that I think is important and will help me answer that question, and placing those in these evidence boxes on my data tree. This is the first step. This is the first thing that we do. Step number 2, after I've made all of these, I've collected all of this evidence. I don't really know what to do with it. I go through my evidence and I start trying to make these logical groupings. What am I seeing? What is this? What does this mean? So for this particular text, we see that the author presents a problem, and I'm going to start moving this evidence into these logical groupings. So I'm moving all of this evidence under the problem. And then I'm also finding my evidence that is the solution, because that's the evidence I was looking for. That was my charge as the reader. I'm pulling all of this evidence and I'm grouping it together in hopes to create an interpretation. So I see that the speaker presents a problem, and then I see that the speaker is also proposing a solution. The next step in my data tree is as I'm answering this question, I'm making an interpretation now. So you'll see here in these green boxes, we have made the interpretations that we think the evidence is leading us to. So the speaker presents a problem with a feeling of not belonging because they are from more than one culture. That is the problem. And then the interpretation for the solution is, as a solution to their problem, the speaker finds comfort in being multicultural because anywhere they are, they feel it is home. So those are some interpretations that the evidence led me to. And that's where I fill it in. This is where I fill it in these interpretation boxes. Once I've done that work, which is a lot, I'm going to move towards making a claim. I've collected my data. I've made some interpretations. Now I'm moving towards making a claim. Now this claim is something that is going to answer the question that's being asked of me as the reader. My claim that I came up with is, through the use of problem and solution organizational structure, the reader gains a better understanding of the challenges a person from a multicultural background faces and how they overcome them. And that goes at the bottom of my data tree. This is just kind of a roadmap of my thinking, and I pull all of this information to then lead me to my claim. And I've got my claim here. I write it at the bottom of my data tree. Then we move into framing my connected CER. Remember from the beginning, a connected CER has one claim, has 2 pieces of evidence, and 2 reasoning. And this frame helps students frame that thinking. I'm writing my claim from my data tree at the top of this frame. Again, it's through the use of problem and solution organizational structure, the reader gains a better understanding of the challenges a person from a multicultural background faces and how they overcome them. Then I go back to my data tree and how can I support that claim with evidence from the text selection? So I pulled a piece of evidence from my problem category, and I pulled a piece of text evidence from my solution category, and I'm simply placing that in the frame. For middle school, we just want them to put the actual quote here. We're going to teach them about transitions in the next step. We just need them to find the best piece of text evidence that will support their claim and put it in these 2 boxes. So I have my evidence 1 for problem. I have my evidence 2 for solution. And then I craft my reasoning. So this is from my own interpretation, my own claim. What is the reasoning I came up with? People with different cultural backgrounds may sometimes experience the obstacles of their own identity and belonging. So this matches this piece of text evidence. And then for evidence number 2, the reasoning I wrote is, although someone may struggle with feeling connected to more than one culture, they can find a sense of peace knowing that they can acclimate to multiple cultures and situations. So I add my claim, my two pieces of text evidence that I think match that claim, and then I'm writing my own reasoning that matches that text evidence. So we have it in a frame. How do I start to make this look like an actual response? I'm simply going to copy my text evidence and my claim, my text evidence and my reasoning into a paragraph. Now, for middle school, you're going to see that it looks just like a claim, evidence, reasoning, and we need to zhuzh it with adding transitions, and that's where you see this highlighted. So we're teaching students to add transitions before their text evidence so that it reads more like a paragraph. So our full completed connected CER sounds like this. Through the use of problem and solution organizational structure, the reader gains a better understanding of the challenges a person from a multicultural background faces and how they overcome them. The author states, third culture kids like me make it up as we go along. People with different cultural backgrounds may sometimes experience the obstacles of their own identity and belonging. Alternatively, living like this can sometimes feel liberating. I feel as though I'm wearing different masks and I'm constantly able to reinvent myself. Although someone may struggle with feeling connected to more than one culture, they can find a sense of peace knowing that they can acclimate to multiple cultures and situations. Now, this is a completed CER, but I think it's also important to remember that this connected CER strategy is a building block to a full analytical essay. So this connected CER, as we move through the curriculum and as we start building these skills and hopefully building these skills to a full-blown essay, this would then become a body paragraph for a full analytical essay. So, and we have all the evidence here. We chose two different quotes, but we have plenty of evidence and plenty of thinking as I annotated and pulled text evidence to then build multiple connected CERs to then complete a full analytical essay. So this is just the next step in building that essay, but we have to start crafting how we connect this evidence so that it makes sense and there's a logical progression. Thanks for joining us today. In this video series, we're also building Canvas courses, so you'll be able to go through in PLC, and there will be guiding questions as well as resources, texts, everything that you saw here today and more in the Canvas course. So if you're looking to build your learning a little bit more and get a little more in depth and maybe practice this in a PLC, join us in Canvas and we'll be able to walk you through there. Thank you so much for joining us.